how conservatives, how the Republican Party, we feel many of us didn't reach out to youth enough. And it's how we talk about the issue. Because, yeah.
Which issue?
Well, whatever issue it is. Obviously, the Republican Party was 100% wrong on civil rights. But when we talk about women's equality, what does that mean? Do you have the right to rip apart a pre-born woman in the womb? Absolutely not. Of course, I'm a working mother of two. Of course I'm for women's equality and women's rights. But we have to be careful when we're talking about these issues. I think that's really, really important to the GOP. It's something we've got to focus on. And we have to have candidates who are willing, candidates like Rand Paul, who's willing to get up and talk about things.
Well, I also think it's
civil rights, obviously.
I agree we have a messaging issue, but I also think it's a generational issue as well. I think that in this case, this problem might correct itself on its own. A lot of young people, young conservatives, young Republicans are very supportive of gay marriage, or at least civil unions, or at the very least, they just don't really care one way or the other. They don't feel strongly about it at all. It's just not something they care about. They care about the fact that they don't have a job and they're living in their parents' basement. And so I think that generally for the Republican Party, that this will correct itself as this generation of young people become the core of the Republican Party.
And I'm more worried about immigration than I am gay marriage, in terms of we're losing a whole demographic of Hispanics when elections come. That's what we need to be talking about.
Well, let me say, yeah, I think that this is absolutely a messaging problem, because I mean, I know I, for one, like a lot of other Republicans and conservatives in this room, are proud of the fact that Republicans were on the forefront of women's suffrage, that, you know, back in the early 20th century. That Republicans stood up, you know, arm in arm with Dr. King during the civil rights battle of the 1950s. That Republicans were right on slavery, you know, as far back as 160 years. So, this party has been through a lot, it has a long storied history in this country. I don't doubt that there isn't a way that we can message more appropriately in the future, and we can do things to make young people, you know, listen to our party and know that they are welcome to be a part of it. And I think it just comes to framing the issues. I mean, even if you take an issue like entitlement spending. So young person here is no entitlement spending, no more government funding of programs. And the Democrats say, well, you know, you young person that Republican just told you no more entitlement spending, that means that you didn't have the student loans you needed to go to college. That means no college education for you. So what we need to tell young people is, instead of framing the issue as no entitlement spending, we need to say, well, hey, listen, we got into this mess in the first place because government subsidization of the student loan industry inflated college tuition and graduate school tuition prices to an unreasonable level, so that you're having to borrow more just to, you know, receive a basic education. That's number one. And then number two is that once you get out of that education, Democrats aren't providing you with a job to pay back all those loans. We have ways to talk about this, and I know that, you know, our CRs out there and our young conservatives, young Republicans are really excited to get back onto their campuses this spring and to come fall and talk to young people in a different way and reach out to communities we haven't talked to before, because we have a lot to say, and we have a powerful voice and a movement that we'd be proud of.
All right, thank you. Now, I don't want to be the only one asking the questions. I'm sure other people have questions to ask. We'll start in the back and then go between the microphones.
Thank you very much. First of all, I just want to make a short, and I mean very short statement, and then ask a quick question as well. The statement
I prefer to stick to questions, but...
Well, I just want to point something out. That somebody mentioned that George W. Bush almost doubled the debt, and I'll tell you that ever since presidential debt has been monitored, every president except for Bill Clinton increased the debt by about the same, by about 10% a year, except for Barack Obama, who's gone up by 15% a year. You can go back and look at that on U.S. government websites. Bill Clinton cut 400,000 jobs from the armed services, and that was pretty much where he got most of his excess. And he increased the debt. by about $1.8 trillion over his 4 years. He did not get rid of debt. Okay, but my quick question is, and this is a major concern of mine, and I'm sure many people in this room on the college campuses, is Israel. There's a huge jihadist force or presence on our college campuses, and I'd like to know from anybody who wants to answer on our panel your comments on the fact that Reuters did a poll approximately 2 to 3 years ago which questioned college student age to people in their mid-30s, young Americans, about how they felt about Israel, and 52% answered if they woke up tomorrow and there was no Israel, it would make no difference. Do you still see this on the college campuses that you have experience with?
I'd be happy to answer with respect to the question on Israel. So one of our proudest achievements as college Republicans is that the one issue that unifies college Republicans and the college Democrats of America is that we stood arm in arm at the American-Israel Political Action Conference last week, opened the conference and stood together in commitment to Israel. So that's a tremendous achievement and promise that we have to the Israeli community, to the Jewish community, and we, I think that it is on the minds of young people, and I'm proud that our college leaders and the leadership of our national committees has taken a stand on it and has continued to bring the issue to the forefront of the minds of young Americans.
Hi, my name is Andrew Blues. I'm from Texas. The Republican Party is more than 2/3 over the age of 48 years old. So that means there's a 1/3 populace that will be young enough in 20 years to actually vote for Republican candidates. Now, looking at that, I would like to understand what branding can do for young people to come up with candidates that are more pro-freedom in general, and whether or not a conservative title or a libertarian title would be more appropriate to the demographic of students these days. From what I've experienced on campus, and this is anecdotally, but our branding of a more liberty-minded vibe than a conservative vibe has become more resonant with all the students on campus. So I kind of want to ask it to the panel, would you guys prefer a libertarian identity or a conservative identity, and kind of give me some feedback for why so?
Jeff, you want to start?
Sure. I don't have issue